Hey, what's up, guys? Tuki here, back again with another episode of my New England Patriots franchise mode series right here on Madden 20. And today, we go through the rest of this off-season. The 2022 draft is upon us, but not before we finish up the free agency period. And we left the last episode with the question of how to handle this free agent period, because there are two players that would be instant game changers on this defense, Leighton Vander Esch and the safety Justin Reid, and we can only afford one of them unless we move a draft pick here and now. The issue with Vander Esch is that, as we know, this is a very, very good linebacker class in terms of the draft this year. We have Abukum out on the left. He's 27, so in theory, if we wanted to, we move Abukum if we really wanted Vander Esch that much more, and then we just draft a replacement for, Abukum with Vander Esch being on the team. The issue with that is it's a major risk, because if Vander Esch were to sign elsewhere, we would be screwed. The only way that this is going to work out tremendously well is if one of them didn't have offers heading into this week. I can't imagine either player will be available in week 2. But I gotta be honest, while I like Abukum, the thought of having Miles Jack next to Leighton Vander Esch and still also being able to sign Justin Reid, if we can go for that, even if that means having to trade, I gotta be honest, I think I'm okay with that, because as we talked about in the last episode, we have more money available. It's just because of the draft picks that we have, it's a little bit tight money-wise. But if we were to, for example, move this this 9th overall pick even, we should be fine, because we have the 13th, the 19th, the 28th, and the 29th. If we move this pick here, that should free up enough money for us to make a play on both players, and it's not damaging enough that we wouldn't be able to trade back up if we wanted to. The 13th pick perhaps is an even better example, because 2 top 10 picks could be absolutely ridiculous. So in theory here, moving this 13th pick in this draft could work out very, very well for us. In terms of who we'd look to move alongside that, it's a bit tough, because the O-line's pretty much locked in. I'd like to avoid trading Abukum, mainly because we take a cap penalty for it in the meantime. But just in case the signings weren't to work out, it would be nice to still have Abukum on the roster, just in case. Now, I was tempted to sign a punter anyway, so I highly doubt there's a team that's interested in Russell, but we can at least take a look. Yeah, there's not going to be. So in terms of potentially trading down, let's say we look to make a deal here with the Bears. Now, they have the 26th pick in this draft. God, the question is, how good are they? Now, I think the Bengals would be an even more interesting team, because they have, the Broncos have all the money in the world right now. My thought process here is we trade with the team that has the most cap room, because they probably have the weakest roster. So if we make a deal with Denver here, there's a very good chance, with their $105 million in cap room, that their first-round pick next year could be absolutely ridiculous. And that's something that I want to try and bank on. I'm going to add 2 seconds just to safety net this and see what this looks like, because odds are that first-round pick next year, it's going to be a little bit less valuable. So we'll see what they say here. It's not enough, of course. That's fine. What about a first and a second? Still didn't go through. Okay, cool. So actually, that pick did retain quite a bit of value. So what if we go the first next year and a third this year? What do they think about that? Still not enough. It makes me think that the AI might be either they're just smart and they don't want to give up picks in the future, or the AI kind of knows, we're going to suck next year. So this could work out very, very well. I don't even have to give up the punter at this point. Will that go through outright? It will. So it is a risky, risky move, but we are trading the 13th overall pick this year to Denver for their first-round pick next year and a 5th-round pick this year. So that frees us up a little bit more money. Again, we weren't going to make all of those draft picks anyway. That pick in particular was one that I was very much looking at giving up. It didn't free up as much as I wanted, which sucks. But let's see what we're looking at here, because we might be able to make this work. So that is a 93-point offer. Oof, and that leaves a 7.4. So maybe we did trade the wrong pick. The longer of a contract I give him to, oh boy, the more cap room will clear. A 5-year deal is perfect. 5-year deal is the sweet spot here. What is that looking like? Is that still a 93? It is. Let's get that up to about a 98 and see what we're dealing with here. But this is going to be close. Very, very close. That's a 96. We're going to keep going more in signing bonus territory than actual salary if we can. But man, you see how expensive of a player he's going to be. He's worth it though. That's a $105 million offer, and apparently I don't have the funds to do that, so let's drop the signing bonus by a bit. That's back down to a 95-point offer. Jesus Christ, he's so expensive. He is so expensive. That's a 98. And then safety-wise, again, I want to pick up J.K. Scott as our punter, but it's not a big deal. What would this be? My God, he's got a 98-point offer. So if we were to offer him a 5-year deal, what's that looking like? That's a 58-pointer. I should have moved the other pick. I played it a little bit too conservatively. Again, we were going to have to trade down anyway. I don't regret picking up a team, a draft pick next year from a team that's going to suck. But yeah, I'm going to have to move one of those top picks if I want to try to get both of them. I really shouldn't try to get both of them, but here's the issue. This is an online save, so it's not like I can restart the episode. We're live, pal. This is happening. So we just got to try to make the most of the situation now that can be viewed as potentially botched. Right. I'm tempted to trade John Ross here. Tooney could go, but obviously we kind of need him. Lawrence isn't exactly freeing up much money right now. There's not a ton of options that we can move to try and free up a ton of money here. So if we... I mean, even then, moving Ross, it's those top picks. It's those top picks that are the issue. So, I mean, if we were to move the 9th, we would still have 3 first-round picks and 2 seconds to try and move back up if we had to, not to mention we will have players that we could potentially move if we wanted to trade up and get somebody. So, say it was that 9th pick. The Bengals are a very interesting team as well. I believe the $56 million was the... Nope, $60 million available for Atlanta, 76 for the Giants. I think the Giants would be another interesting team to trade with here and just try to bank on them being terrible next season and maxing out the potential for that, come next season. So what if we do a first next year and a second this year? We're gonna need more value there. That's okay. Like I said, we're gonna trust in the future a little bit, as it's probably gonna be a 4th this year, maybe a 5th, and their first round pick next year. It's gonna take a little bit more value. If anything, it's gonna be a 6th actually. So let's see if that'll work. I'm gonna do a 6th and a 7th just to check it. Will this work? No. What about just a 7th? Even then, damn. That just kind of goes to show, like, that's really, really banking on them being terrible next year. We do have a 6th and a 7th that I could give up to try and push that deal through. It might take a little bit more than that. Let's go with our 5th round pick this year. So the 9th overall pick this year and a 5th round pick as well for the Giants' first round pick next year. That still didn't go through. It'll take an extra 6th. That should do it. Wow. Whew, this is, fair play. Fair play. They're being smart. 1st and 2/5. Even then, it's going to take a 4th next year, which is fine. It's worth it. I actually don't even have a 4th next year. It's going to take a 3rd. 1st and the 3rd for their first round pick next year. I cannot believe this. Jesus. When did they get a logical GM? Will that go through? There we go. So, we have the Giants' first-round pick next year. We have Denver's first-round pick this year, or next year. And now, we should have the fundage to be able to make this work. Please. How much? 28.8. We did not get as much money free as I thought we would. Oh boy, this might not be possible. Now that I think about it, I mean, hey, even if it doesn't work, I still, had to trade down at some point anyway, and we got some good picks heading into next year. But damn, this would suck. So what's that looking like? That's a 90. Okay, no, so we can get both on good deals. It's going to take a little bit of wiggle room, but I think we have it. In worst case, we can go after John Ross, or, trade John Ross. The good thing is, even if this doesn't work, again, we had to trade down anyway. We haven't given up much, and we're still set up very well for the draft if both of these guys were to reject. So let's go up to like a 5. Actually, that works. What's that? That's a 103-point offer. I might give that offer just because it would guarantee that we get him. And let's see how much more we can bank this up for Leighton Vander Esch. I mean, if we're able to swoop in for these two, on top of having another solid draft, we're laughing all the way to the bank right now. There's no guarantees that they'll both sign, but we can go for it. So an $11 million signing bonus, so bump that up to 8.5. That's a 98-point offer. I'm going to go up to a 100-point offer just to make sure that we get him. Will that go through? No, it won't. What if I drop this a little bit? All right, it's a little bit rough right now. A little bit rough. 99-point offer. Can I offer a little bit more? We got 20K as a bonus. Will that work? Yes, it will. So a 99-point offer to Leighton Vander Esch and a 103-point offer to Justin Reed. I think I'm going to drop the Reed offer by a little bit. 101. Give me 100K to try and send Leighton's way. There we go. It's still a 99-point offer. All right, let me bump up. It's 20K for Reed. That should do it. It's 101. So, attempting a very big play here to get Leighton Vander Esch and Reed that would give us options to trade away as well to recoup more draft picks if they go through. But we're going big. Let's see what happens. Can we make the splash? Vander Esch rejects. Reed rejects as well. Oh my God, really? Have they both signed? Have they both signed? Vander Esch went to Arizona and Reed went to Minnesota. Holy shit. I never would have expected that. Goddamn. Hey, it is what it is. I mean, that sucks a lot. But, hey, they made their choice. So, like I said, the good thing is we didn't get rid of anybody off our roster. We moved draft picks. Now, I might not have moved the 9th overall pick, but we moved draft picks in a situation where we were going to have to move picks to begin with. So, I still don't think it's that bad. It was worth taking a shot and swinging for the fences on that one. It didn't work out, unfortunately, but yeah, it was worth going for it. So let's continue to scout out the linebackers that are available. And the right-hand side is looking like it's going to be a little bit weaker. Just a bit. I still want to try to scout out everybody. Yeah, it's looking like it's going to be just a little bit weaker than the middle options. But that's okay. So in terms of other free agents, now that we have money available, let me take a look. So again, quarterback-wise, if Dawson goes down, we're screwed. I mean, you look at that offer for Kirk Cousins, just no. Like, I could spend money to bring in, like, a Mason Rudolph or whatever. It doesn't really matter. We'll try to bring in somebody else. Like, I could bring in Daniel Jones for the meme, but again, I'm not paying him $8 million. Running back-wise, though, that's a big offer for Penny. 100 point. How much is this at $3 million? That's a 93. We could try to duel the Chargers on Rashad Penny just to have a better 1-2 punch. Cash out on Harris. That's an option at least. Let me just send that through again, and I'll restructure that potentially. Wideout-wise, Cooper Kupp is still there, but again, he's 29. Michael Gallup, though, is the interesting one, where we might not get the biggest return on investment, but having Cooper, Harry, and Gallup is insanity. And again, I wish Cooper Kupp wasn't 29 at this point because I can't guarantee he won't regress the second he hits 30. But we could also go for Michael Gallup at this point and still be looking really good. Tight end wise, again, we're fine. Gesicki's, really not that much better than Jake Butt, so it's fine. Defensive line. Again, we'll probably draft a defensive lineman or two, so all this is good. Again, Damon Harrison, he's looking good at 33. He's done well. He will probably regress before the start of the season, but that'd be a one hell of a 1-2 combo with he and Tuck, but we don't know if we're running a 3-4 or a 4-3. So we'll probably keep Lawrence. Again, there's a chance Lawrence gets traded. We'll see. And then Taco Charlton's there, but we're fine. Don't want to spend too much money on the depth. So Nwosu, again, could be used, but we are likely to draft a linebacker. And then corners, bringing in Richard Sherman for the year might not be the worst option. Josh Jackson's available, but he's getting a big offer. And then safety-wise, we're going to have to look at somebody in the draft. I just don't know how much Richard Sherman's going to regress by for this one season because he's going to be wanting nearly an $11 million cap hit, which is pretty rough. And then Josh Jackson, that's going to be a little bit expensive too, but it's going to be worth it in a way. And then Scott's also available. So what if I were to, in theory, send out this offer for Scott? We'd be able to renegotiate this ever so slightly, down to a 78 point. He'd still probably accept that. Corner-wise, what if I were to go for Josh Jackson? Give him a 4-year deal. How good of an offer is that? That's a 93. He is super expensive. He is, man. The Panthers are really going in for him. I think we try to get Richard Sherman on a cheap deal because no one else is going in for him right now. So if we can lowball Richard Sherman, I say we do that. And it would be worth it for us if he does sign for that super cheap deal. So that is a 79-point offer. We'll go a little bit lower than that after not getting either of our first two targets. So if he accepts a 75-point offer, that is a steal and a half. And I'm tempted to go for Levi Wallace here. Jonathan Jones is also available because we'll probably look for a corner in the draft. Probably. I don't think Mike Hughes is going to develop all that much. Yeah, I think going for Levi Wallace is a decent option. It's same thing. If we can just lowball him for the year, get a pretty damn cheap contract, I think we're looking good. Okay, maybe not that low. Maybe not a 57-point offer. But still, if we could lowball him, get it up to about a 70, and then cap room, we're looking out. Although, I don't really want to offer the penny deal. My only other thought is Harrison, but he does have an offer already. So I think those would be the only other guys I'd consider targeting. Sherman and Wallace on cheap deals, why not? Same thing, actually, we can lower these a little bit more. If we can pinpoint these to like 70-point offers, we're going to be looking good. Might as well try to save as much money as possible here. God, that's not looking good. It's not looking good at all. Mr. Scott, please, why isn't that like going up a significant amount? Please? That's a 66. Did I lower the bonus a bit more than I thought I did? Is that the issue? Is it just me or did that drop? I feel like this is glitched. I feel like this is glitched for some reason. What the hell? There we go. It's back up to a 75. Jesus, do I even want to mess around with this anymore? I don't know if I do. Wow, so that much on the bonus can drop it from a 75 to a 67, huh? Okay, now see, I'm not going crazy. What the hell is up with the numbers right now? You guys seeing this shit? What the hell? All right, I'm leaving it. I'm leaving it. So, if we could get Wallace, Sherman, and Scott on cheap offers, that's good. I don't know what to do about Penny. I'm a little bit worried about Sony Michel, and that's the only reason I'm tempted to pick up Penny. But Harris, technically, if Michel were to go down, could have another breakout moment, but he won't be as good as Penny is. And then Michael Gallup isn't a necessity, but holy hell would he be a fun addition to this team. The problem is just the money really isn't there. So I think we'll take out the offer for Gallup. I think we're going to take out the offer for Penny too. We'll let him go to the Chargers. But cheap options for Sherman, Wallace, and Scott. If we can get those three, we might as well. And we'll take it from there. But Van Der Esch and Reed both rejected. Wallace signs, Scott signs. We have not heard from Richard Sherman. So we do get a decent corner pickup for the year on a cheap deal, which is nice. That was our biggest area of need. So we now have J.C. Jackson and Wallace there. And again, if Sherman signs, we're looking good. Hopefully, though, we get a slightly better option to round out that top three. I'm so tempted to bring back the McCourties for depth. Malcolm Butler, I don't want to let you rot. I don't want to let you rot, but you kind of have to. You kind of have to. So we will see what happens. We're pretty much good in free agency. It's just whether or not Richard Sherman ends up signing with us. So scouting-wise, let's get back to the linebacker core and finish looking at all of the options that we have here. Chandler Taylor, it was looking so good, and then it wasn't. All right, so we are good. Quarterback-wise, I mean, we don't really need anybody. Again, we could look to just randomly pick up a dude if we needed to. He's terrible. He's also pretty terrible. So yeah, we'll probably just look at the free agent list afterwards. Running back wise, again, we have that scouted. Fullbacks are scouted. Wideouts are scouted. Tight ends are scouted. So when it comes to the O-line, 37 reps for this dude. Let's take a look really quickly. Nothing too crazy. Left guards are looking pretty poor. And we do have a 6 here, 38 reps for the 21-year-old Acosta. Grades drop off pretty hard, though. And then Braxton Carter. I went to school with Braxton Carter. Yeah, we'll see if we can get the full info on him. Is Richard Sherman a Patriot? Yes, he is. So there we go. We got 2 pretty decent corners that will help us in the interim in case we don't get anybody half decent here. And we also pick up the punter as well, who will be better than the guy that we have. Let's see. We might as well scout that guy who's a 5'9". Scout him as well. Right tackles are normally pretty damn good. That guy's at a BC, just a guy being a dude, but he's not looking that good. So I think we're okay. It's not looking like a great year for the O-line anyway. So I think we picked a really good year to kind of overlook it. And then, of course, next year we're going to have to rely on there being some decent options if we look to replace the likes of Shaq Mason and Joe Tooney, for that matter. Centers are normally god-awful, so we are good to go. I'll take it. I mean, we don't even have everybody scouted, but that's fine. We don't need it. So we do at least a little bit of damage in free agency. Not as much as I was hoping. But we do end up with Richard Sherman, Levi Wallace, and J.K. Scott, all on pretty cheap deals, although apparently the J.K. Scott offer was even more. I just swear it's glitched, but whatever. So again, Van Der Esch goes to Arizona, Damon Harrison to Pittsburgh, Von Miller to Detroit. Justin Reed spurned us to go to Minnesota, Cooper Kupp to Philly, Penny to the Chargers, James White also to Arizona. Gallup ended up in Miami. So that brings us to the draft. Let's do this. We will take a look at the board. We still have the 3rd overall pick, of course, which is pretty damn nice. But let's see what we have here. So quarterback-wise, again, no concerns there at all. Running back-wise, that's a slightly different story. As, again, if we can pick up somebody who's half decent, we might be able to do something, but it's not a huge need. Fullback-wise, kind of the same thing. I do like that guy has an A in lead block. I mean, I'd certainly be more concerned about the blocking aspect than them being utility. I don't mind utility options, but definitely blocking is more important. So if we could pick up Perkins or Leach, that would be great. That would be tremendous. Or, in fairness, Bowden is also a monster. Wide receiver-wise, Josh Cadella, I can't imagine is that good. He's got good speed, a good vert for somebody 6'2", decent strength for a physical type as well. He's not that bad. He's just not as good as advertised. Kevin Robinson ran a 4.4 at 21. That guy's going to be a beast. That guy's going to be a beast. Speed, agility, height, jumping, the strength. He is the complete package. Manny Wright, he's 24. Really all he has is the speed in his route running. He's not that good. DJ Springs, nope, not at 23. Lennon, also not looking that good. Marcus Pitts, at 21 years old. Decent speed, but nothing too crazy, so that's probably a no. Anton Bigby ran a 4.3. The issue is he's 23. I don't think he's going to be worth it. He's a good route runner at least. Spectacular catches up there. He could be worth it if he slips. Quincy Nash, decent speed, well-rounded at 23, but wouldn't take him early. What about this dude? 21, fast as hell. There are some decent receivers. Jaquan Spears, perhaps the most interesting of them all. Of course, wide receiver right now, not a big need, but we could make a move if we wanted to. We do have the option to trade the likes of John Ross if we wanted to, as Foster has some good speed. Patton also has some good speed and agility. Jesus, there's a bunch of wide receivers here. Peppers, nah, man. At 5'8", you gotta have a little bit more to offer. Tight end wise, Zach Linsley is an interesting one for me because again, we could pick him up, move on from who we have. I don't know if he's exactly going to be Gronk, but it's intriguing at least. And then Thomas O'Neill at 22. Also not that bad. I can't imagine he's going to be that good. I don't understand how A.J. Donaldson, I know he's a blocking tight end, but I don't understand. At 23, he's got a good vert. He just doesn't have hands. He's got the strength at least, but it's a blocking tight end in the first round. Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so. And then Kirby Booker, yeah, it's not looking good. So I'm mainly intrigued by Zach Linsley. On the O-line, Shields looks like he's a monster. He has 37 reps. He's a beast. Buck Harrell, also a beast. So we could look to pick him up at some point. Eduardo Roman, also a monster. Very nice. And then there's this guy, Walter Fox, who refused to take part in the Combine. The issue is that he's 24, so even if he has a good dev pattern, he's not really going to be all that useful to us. We didn't scout a single center. Right guard, Jarrett Reiner. Could be okay. What about Nelson Acosta? The grades aren't good, but the strength is out of control. And then Braxton Carter at right tackle, also a good option. Defensively, obviously it's where we're a bit more focused in this draft. Posey. The agility is low. The bench is low. I'm not digging it. Joey Rushing, which is a great name for an edge, but 23. The bench isn't great. The agility and speed, I'm not digging that either. Will White. I mean, the pursuit, hit power, and power moves are up there, but the bench isn't. So, I mean, yeah, you have power moves, but you're just going to get out-muscled by any O-lineman, so I'm not really digging that. What about Creighton? I wonder if would any of these guys have hit 30 reps? Come on, man. And I don't think the agility is what we'd really want. Larimore. Again, I'm not really liking the looks of any of these guys. Right in, though, Kerry Bernard is a monster. Good Lord. Yes, please. All day. I'll draft that guy every time. Holy hell, he's a beast. Not really good there. You got a good broad jump. Congratulations. Brian Goddard. As a speed rusher, I'm digging it. Because he actually has the speed, the agility. The bench isn't awful. A- finesse moves. That guy's pretty good. And again, you could potentially move him into a linebacker role. I wouldn't be surprised if he did well. In fairness, Morell's not bad. It's just if he drops. Alex Davis is okay. Agility's all right. The bench is pretty good, but he's also 23. I don't expect him to be that good. Lester Traylor at 22, really good strength. Not bad. Tyrone Lee. As a speed rusher, again, it's not bad. It's not bad. The top 3 skills, though, not having finesse moves up there is a bit of a red flag. And then Hewitt's up there. Could potentially move him to a DT. Speaking of DT, is Giovanni Florence is a monster. Good Lord. Duncan Griffith is a monster. Deshaun Bias. Not quite a monster. He'd be a better edge. He'd definitely be a better edge. I mean, I guess he is a speed rusher, but yeah, if you were to put him on the defensive end, he'd be much better. Akeem Short, honestly, isn't that bad. Crichton, same thing. Put him on the edge. I think he'd do a hell of a lot better than trying to outmuscle a center and potentially a guard in a double team. Connor Lester, at least has the bench. He could be a decent depth option. Oscar Solano, the bench is too low, as is the agility and everything else. So the grades are nice, but there's no way. I know he's listed as a run stopper. He's just going to sit there and get pancaked every time. No, thank you. No, thank you. Actually, let's take a look at Peterson. You know, he's not that bad. Yeah, I got to be honest. As a depth option, maybe. A bit, yeah, not good. Not good. You know, in fairness, I know there's only one extra rep there, but I'm not really digging that. Ron Smith, way too weak. Cedric Austin has good reps. He's not going to be like a future superstar or anything, though. Again, the potential speed rusher. Malik Thomas is way too weak, but he could be a decent edge at 6'5", 300. Should be insanity. Linebacker-wise, and again, we know this is a ridiculous LB class. Camille Loud, which is a great name. Power rusher, decent strength, really good agility. I'm surprised power moves are so good for him, but he's still not bad. Barrow, I mean, the reps are good. I mean, the combine isn't great, but he's still going to be pretty good. Holy shit. Now, I'm not surprised because of, you know, the pass coverage type. You would expect that, but holy hell. He looks like an absolute monster. Dawson's also pretty well-rounded. He's 24, though, so obviously not someone that you'd take early. Brian McGee, he's also not too bad. The strength's a bit low. Bulla. The Bulla. The Bullo. Bulle. Speed and agility is a bit too weak. Pursuit's good, but I'm just not digging the speed and agility to match that in terms of it being a top grade. Brock Allen is unreal. Absolutely unreal. Andrew Gross has the speed and agility. I don't hate it. Trey Rucker, also well-rounded. I don't hate it. DeMarcus Henderson, again, don't really hate it. Like, none of the past couple of guys we've looked at are going to be amazing, but they could be decent role players. Great speed on Javonte Castle. Not digging that C+ there. Cedric Upshaw. And that's a bit too weak, and then the other two aren't even projected to be drafted. On the right-hand side, Moses Allison. Holy Moses, they call him. He's not bad. Ben McCollum, way too slow and really lacking agility. What do we have on Aaron Yates? Yes, please. Steve Cohen. At 23, no thank you. Schaefer, 24, no thank you. Amare Poindexter at 24. He's not bad, but total depth option. Houston, Cleveland, much better than Memphis, Toronto, but he's also terrible. Milton Lehman, terrible. Leon Short, also pretty garbage. And Perry Bishop, pretty bad. So a corner, good God, I forgot about the top options here. Jeff Brown, 21, ridiculous vert, good agility, the speed, but still could be a great pick. Jabari Atkinson, my God. The agility is actually a bit of a concern for a man-to-man option. He's fast, he's strong, he has a good vert, but that agility is a bit concerning, man. he might be a better safety, just because you won't have to worry about quick cuts as often. Donald Madison, very well-rounded. The vert's okay, so not too bad. Max Chapman, good speed, good agility, decent strength, decent vert at 6'1", bit of a beast. And Godfrey, the vert's okay. He's 6 foot though, so everything's looking pretty good there. And then aside from that, there's Javier Hayes, whose vert is just no. That's a no from me. And there's nobody else. Safeties, not a great safety class. Darius Hayes, I mean, good speed, decent agility, decent vert. I'm not really digging it. Chris Hanna, 5'9", again, decent speed, good, great agility. The vert's okay, but again, he's 5'9" at 22. I'm sorry to be heightist, but I have to be. Cartwright's okay, but he's not going to be anything amazing. Derek Benjamin has potential, although B- in catching being a top stat scares me. Ronell Billups. Speed's a bit low. Everything else looks great. Everything else looks pretty damn good. And that's it. Okay, so at least we know all the players that are, looking half decent. In terms of who to target first, though, that's the question. Obviously, running back wise, it's not a big deal. If someone like Moses Gibson falls to the later, to the second round, maybe even the third round, we're all over him for sure. Fullback's not a big deal. Wideout isn't the biggest deal in the world for us. If we could end up with Robinson or Spears, we're gonna be looking pretty good. But obviously, that's not something we're considering in the early stages of this draft. Robinson's projected as a late round pick. Lindsley's someone I'm intrigued by. It's not a major need, though. It's not a position where we immediately need to replace. Same with the O-line. I mean, if any of these guys are actually in the second round, we're looking good. I mean, if we were to end up with one of these guys, that would force a trade. If we were to end up with two of them, that would force two trades. But Josh Shields should be great. Eduardo Roman should be great. Reiner should be great. And Carter should be great. So there are actually some decent members and decent options on the O-line. Defensively, though, is where it gets interesting. Because you do have Bernard, who, again, the speed's a bit low, but the agility and the strength is tremendous, along with the grades. Mid-projection, late projection for Goddard. Florence is a mid-projection, makes sense, but he's going to be great too. Griffith is an early projection, and Bias is a late. And again, the thing about Bias is the strength kind of ruins him, but no doubt that Griffin's going to be great, and Crichton is also looking pretty damn good. So what I'm trying to decide is if it's worth trading up or if we just stick with that number 3 pick, right? It's pretty much what we're picking and deciding on right now. And in terms of the linebacker options, mid-first round there, Barrow's a late first round. Brock Allen has to be early. Mid, actually, for Brock Allen. Let me just move these two up just to sort this out now. And then Aaron Yates is a late first rounder. Corners, again, we have quite a few of them. Brown's an early first rounder. Atkinson's an early first rounder. We do have options, and either Benjamin or Billups could be decent. So looking at the team, and as far as what we need right now, oh God. I mean, again, we still have Hooper for 3 more years, and Jake Butt's a decent option. The O-line, we could target if we wanted to replace Tooney and Shaq Mason this year. We don't have to. An upgrade on Derek Barnett could be nice, because we could look to move him out. Again, Dexter Lawrence could be moved. The biggest thing here is getting a linebacker. Or, a decent enough corner. Or someone in... All right, so it's a linebacker or the secondary. Those are the biggest needs right now. So what we're probably going to do is avoid trading up. Again, I don't want another number 1 overall pick unless absolutely necessary. So linebacker-wise, again, the guys I'm most interested in aren't projected to go this early. Man, Ricky Sparks is crazy in terms of the combine. I'm just nervous in terms of picking linebackers. I don't want it to blow up in my face, you know. But Brock Allen looks like he should be the real deal. Again, we have the 19th pick after this, so we have plenty of opportunity to move up if we have to. Out of these corners, like I said, Brown's legit. He's early projection. Atkinson's legit. He's early projection. Not a big fan of him as much. Chapman's early projection. And Godfrey is mid. The funny thing is, in terms of grades and combine, Godfrey is looking all right. Good speed, good agility, good strength. So we have really 5 corners we could end up with that should all be decent. And safety-wise, we should be able to start to look towards the second round. So as far as who we take in the first, I mean, we can keep all those lower picks. We have 4 first-rounders. I'm intrigued by Barrow. I'm intrigued by Sparks because of the combine grades. But Brock Allen might indeed be the guy to take. And we're not going to have to trade up to get him. So I think we're going to let this pick go. We'll see who the Titans take. And they took Allen. Mid-projection, he goes first overall. He's a 74. And that is why I am horrified at the thought of drafting a linebacker, because it can blow up in your face constantly. Tampa at 2, take Kevin Robinson, the wide receiver, and he's only a 73. I am now officially concerned about some of the quality in this draft, because those are 2 players that stood out that we had on the board that aren't that great to start off. So in terms of wideouts, again, Jaquan Spears is now my top option, but we might be able to snag him in the second round. Lindsley's there. I'm intrigued by him because that would move, open room to get rid of Hooper and flip him for a different need. We do have the numerous O-linemen. And again, I am very much intrigued by the players that are here. And there are quite a few of them that are interesting. Again, I think as long as we were to end up with one of those dudes, or 2, we'd be fine. On the defensive end, there isn't an extreme need, but same thing. We pick somebody up, flip who we have already for a replacement. It's just tough to know where to go first. It really is. And I feel like it would be almost a smarter move to just trade down and let the AI decide for me, in that we wait until, if we're talking defensive ends, between Goddard and Bernard, we wait until the AI picks somebody, essentially, or DTs if we wanted to end up with one, which, again, we don't necessarily need. But I'm kind of weary about picking a linebacker right now. And when it comes to grades, I mean, Godfrey lines up with Brown and Atkinson. It's just, 2 man coverages, 1 zone. I don't know who to take here, if anybody. I'm almost tempted to trade down. There isn't anybody that I'm looking at where I have 100% confidence outside of linemen that they aren't going to come back to haunt me. Except for the tight end. I know he's going to be good because typically tight ends at this... Well, even then, one of the grades actually concerns me, his route running. He's probably going to be really good, but again, we don't really need him. It's like, do we go for 2 of the O-linemen? Do we just wait until 3 are gone and we take the 2 that are left? Again, Bernard has good reps, decent, pretty good agility. Man. Again, the strength, Goddard works out because he is actually a good finesse option on the line. We know we need a linebacker, but between Loud, Barrow, and Sparks, or Yates, who the hell do you take? Yates is a late option. Again, Sparks has the ridiculous combine. And then Barrow concerns me a little bit. I mean, out of all the linebackers, Barrow's interesting because the grades are good. Out of all the linebackers, I'm intrigued the most by Sparks. I think it'd have to be, right? It's just, do you take him with a number 3 overall pick? That I don't know. The thought of that is a little bit scary. Because Aaron Yates also isn't that bad. I think linebacker-wise, if we were to end up with Sparks or Yates, we'd be okay. Sparks might be the best man for the job. And then corner-wise, if we look at Chapman again, great speed, great agility, decent strength. If we end up with any of these corners, we're looking fine. I think honestly I'm going to trade down and just kind of keep an eye on the draft. I'm weary of this. I don't really want a high-profile pick blowing up in my face right now. Holy shit, that's a big entry prompt. What the fuck? So we could get a first, a second, and a third, a first and 2 seconds from Baltimore. And I am going to take that deal from the Ravens. So let's do it. A first and 2 seconds from Baltimore. We'll see who they take. I might regret this, but I'm not feeling all that confident. And they took Jeff Brown, the corner, 79 overall. Had a feeling he was going to be good, but didn't want to risk it. The Jags at 4 took Madison, who was a 78 corner. So out of the corners that are left, that leads Atkinson, Chapman, and Godfrey. We're going to end up with one of them. I just don't know who yet. And again, that might come down to whoever the AI decides not to take. And again, this will save money for us as well. The Giants at 5 took Loud, and again, he's a 74. Another linebacker that looked really good, who's just average. Minnesota at 6 took Atkinson, so this is definitely a corner draft. So 2 corners left that I'm interested in. And I think I'm going to let the AI decide it. It's down to Chapman, who, doesn't have as high of grades, but is very well-rounded. And Atkinson, where the grades are a bit better, he might be the one to take. Mid-first round talent, late first round projection. If we end up with either, I'm fine. I'm fine with that. I'll still just let the AI decide it. And then that way it's a later pick. Cincy took Florence, the DT, who looked really good. He's only a 75. San Fran at 8, take Moses Allison, 71. So this linebacker core is blowing up. The Giants at 9, the pick that we dealt to them for their pick next year. They took that top wideout, Josh Cadella, 71 rated. The Jets at 10, take Kerry Bernard, who, again, I thought was going to be great. He's only a 74. In terms of high overalls, it's not looking good. I think we played this very well, trading the picks we did for potentially high picks next year. It didn't work out getting Van Der Esch and Reed, but I think we're playing this well in terms of a better safe than sorry approach. Atlanta at 11 took Chapman, who's a 77, so we're going to make a deal with Detroit. Game, please. Thank you. Well, we're going to make a deal with Detroit to move up and make sure we get that other corner. That way we saved some money in the process as well, and we're still going to end up with a decent corner to add to this team. So let's say I use the 29th. How much more will it cost? Obviously, it's going to cost more value. It's a halfway point. Now, if we go for O-lineman, this would be the time. Now, I'd like to trade Win. I can't do it right now. I got to wait until that cap hit isn't such a negative. But if I were to commit to moving players, right now would be the time to trade Joe Thuney or Shaq Mason. The problem is they're both great and we can get one more good year out of them, but there are some damn good O-linemen in this draft, and maybe this is the time to move on. What if I were to use Joe Thuney? They have a lot of interest. I think, if we make this move, we're committing to at least picking up one O lineman in this draft. But let's see how close this is. All right, what about this? That first round pick next year is a little bit of a point of contention, but I think we can make this work. So what if I use a second round pick next year? I think that we just picked up from Baltimore. We also had a 5th round pick this year. So a first, Tooney, and a second for 2 firsts and a 5th? Not quite. What if I take out the 5th? Damn. All right, what if we run with one of our second round picks this year? So a first, the 29th overall pick this year, the 57th overall pick, and Joe Tooney for the 12th overall pick and the potentially the 22nd pick next year, but the Lions first rounder next year. We're going to have to use a slightly higher second, but this is going to work. We are going to send Joe Tooney to the Detroit Lions. And we're going to pick up their first this year and their first next year in the process. Oh my God, maybe not. I can't believe this. All right, let's do the 28th and that 51st. That should work. There we go. Just damn. Tooney has been dealt to Detroit. Not a big fan of it, but I felt like it had to be done. We trade up to get the corner that we need, and we're committing to taking at least one of those top O-linemen in this draft. So let's hope the last of the corners available, Tyrell Godfrey out of Florida, is the real deal. Great grades, the top combine score, and again, good speed, agility, and strength. 6 foot, so the under 33-inch vert isn't that damaging. How good is Tyrell Godfrey? He is a 76. Hidden dev, should still be a star. I believe, yeah, the one flex is star over superstar, I believe. I can't remember. It's been a while since I've had to worry about that. And I always doubt it because now they're like, oh, they do stuff, but it might always be it. But he's still 9th in true talent. And he'll have a year to learn under one Richard Sherman. Man and zone, pretty much about even. Just needs to improve the tackling. But overall, not too bad. We have a potential corner for the future. He'll be our second corner this year for sure, behind Sherman. I might even run him as our number 1 corner this year. So very happy with that. We wait for as long as we did, don't have to pay as much bonus money, and still end up with a solid player. Now, as far as who else we're looking at, again, Moses Gibson should fall. Wide receiver-wise, he should be available later. Lindsley is there, not as concerned. We still have the 4 O-linemen that I had my eye on, and we could potentially go again for 2 of them. Goddard should be available later on in the round. The DTs are interesting. Again, Sparks and Yates, I'm nervous to try and draft one of them. So, we're gonna let this go a little bit. Again, between Goddard, the DTs, I'm gonna sim a couple of picks here and see what happens. So the Broncos at 13 took Lindsley, and as expected, he is pretty good, 76 overall. But that means we are just committed to who we already have. Philly at 14 took Barrow, who wasn't that good, 72. Pittsburgh at 15 took Yates, who was also terrible. There is no way I'm taking a linebacker in this first round. There is no way, but the one that's left is the one with the really good combine scores in Ricky Sparks. So it's a massive risk to go for him. Again, Dawson's not going to be a game changer. He's 24. McGee's okay. All those guys are questionable. There's one linebacker left who might be good. For that reason, we have to go for Sparks. But it's a pretty damn big risk. But we need to do it. We need a linebacker. So we're going to see if we can make a move with Denver here and try to make the most of this. The real question is whether or not I end up dealing Shaq Mason here. But we'll make this deal with the Broncos if we can. They do have some interest in O-line help. And then linebacker-wise, again, there's not really much we can give up to make that happen. Your interest in Shaq Mason is high. So what if I safety net this just to see how far away that is? Shaq Mason for the pick isn't quite good enough. But what if we use Shaq to our advantage? We move the 19th. So we'd only be moving up 3 spots. But then I'll also look to pick up potentially your next 2 second-round picks because your first is already gone. We already picked that up. What do you think? That won't go through. That's okay. What if we use the 3rd here? How close is that? Not close enough. What if we just do that straight up? Still not quite. If I add in a little bit more, though, it might work. If we use a 5th rounder next year, how close are we? Not close enough. Right, so we take out that 2nd. And we add a 3rd and a 7th. How close are we? I think this will go through, so it's going to be Shaq Mason. We're going to use him to move up 3 spots to get the linebacker that we want. And we are going to commit to taking 2 out of the 4 O-linemen in this draft. So it's the best way to go to try and make the most of this value. That is not what I meant to do. Whoops. What if we use a 4th? Was I already using the 4th? I wasn't. So there we go. Shaq Mason is off to Denver. Hate to see him go, but he's the easiest piece that we had at our disposal to make something happen here. So we are going to risk it. We're taking Ricky Sparks out of Stanford, and we need to hope that this guy is the real deal, considering this draft class for linebackers has been very shaky. He's a 74. He's got the double X-Factor flex. Whether or not that's true or not, we'll find out. But he's a 74 at 22. Hidden dev. We'll see. I mean, he's got great speed and agility. Again, great in coverage. He's very well-rounded at this point. I think it's going to work out pretty damn well, all things considered. So I'm happy with that. I mean, again, some of those other linebackers might have been good, but hey, if we ended up with someone who's just as good and for a cheaper price, it's a win-win. So again, wide out and running back wise, we'll worry about later. Shields, Roman, Reiner, and Carter. 2 of them will be ours. It's going to be up to the AI to decide who that is. And then that'll probably do it for us in the first round. But we can still look at the likes of Goddard and these defensive tackles a little bit later on. And then somehow if Dawson slips, we'll be all right. And we have the safety as well. It's going to be a super long episode unless I break this up. Screw it, super long episode it is. So let's get to simming. Right now we're keeping an eye on the O-line. The Colts took Griffith, the defensive tackle. He was a 77. Raiders at 18 took Reiner, who was only a 75. The Broncos at 19 took Holman, who we actually didn't even have our eyes on. He's a 76. Washington at 20 take Bias. Let me double check again on the O-line, right? We have, if we even wanted to trade, Win. So we have Landry, Young, Win, and then 2 spots now. Again, I'm a little bit worried about Isaiah Wynn, but maybe if we move him off a left tackle, it would work because I really can't afford to take 3 of these guys unless somebody slips. But right now would be the time to trade up. So we can't do that, but we'll see who Buffalo takes here. They took Hakeem Short, a disaster of a DT. The menu lag kicks in. That's always fun. Let's back out of that. The Rams at 22 took Delvin Morrell, disaster of a pick. Panthers at 23, Myron Garrett, disaster of a right end. And the Dolphins at 24 took Braxton Carter. Okay, so we have the 25th pick, and we will absolutely look to make it. We are going to pick up really we need to look to pick up both Roman and Shields. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to take Josh Shields first. Just ridiculous in terms of the agility and the strength. The left tackle out of Wisconsin is going to be a monster. He really is. He's got the star, arms crossed, so it was the superstar flex, and then the X-Factor double flex. 6th in true talent. Shows you how weak of a draft it is. 25th overall. Hidden dev at 22. 93 strength. for Josh Shields. Very, very good. Let's make a deal with the Bears, and then we'll certainly be out of the first round based on the amounts of money we'll be spending on bonus picks. So we have the 29th pick. We want the 26th. What is it going to take for us to get there? Can I tack on Russell for the hell of it? I doubt he has any value. Can I also add a 4th? What do you think? There we go. Cool. So we move up 3 spots. We get rid of our extra punter. Lose a 4th round pick in the process. And we will take that other O-lineman that will help replace Tooney and Shaq Mason. It is going to be Eduardo Roman out of Georgia. 37 reps, unreal top skills. And a 77. Let's go with the X Factor flex at left guard. Holy hell. If that holds up to be true. 5th in true talent. Hidden dev at 21. Good God. 93 strength as well. I think we've handled this draft well. I mean, I didn't plan on retooling the O-line, but once we saw kind of how shaky things were with the linebackers, I think we made a good call. So let's get out of the first round. The Texans take Crichton, who's only a 72. Detroit ended up taking Andrew Gross. That's unfortunate. The Bears take Alan Schaefer. Cleveland at 30 took Brian Goddard, who wasn't as good as I thought he was going to be. A lot of these guys, it was a pretty weak draft. Maybe potentials are good, but some of the overalls, man. The Chiefs take Manny Wright, and the Seahawks take Ben McCollum. Jesus. So, yeah, this is considering how weak this draft is in certain regards. Yeah, I think we're doing pretty well. So again, we have players that we're looking at. Jaquan Spears, I'm very intrigued by because him replacing Taylor could be pretty sweet. Could be pretty sweet. O-line, we're set. D-line, honestly, we're pretty much set. I mean, in terms of who's here, I mean, yeah, we have Taylor who has the good strength. Lee has the good agility, so they're the complete opposite of one another. Connor Lester has the really good strength, but he's 23, and we don't really need another DT, so I'm going to take him off the list. Cedric Austin's just very well-rounded, but he's nothing special at 23. Linebacker-wise, we don't really need Jordan Dawson. He's also 24. What about Brian McGee? Not that great. Poindexter could be a decent pick, but he's 24. So really, like someone like Derek Benjamin, who we'd be taking early, or Billups, who we'd also be taking early, look to be the targets. So our next pick is 22nd. I don't see myself making a pick before that. I don't really think it's necessary. We'll still go through here. Tennessee took the tight end Thomas O'Neill. Tampa took Connor Long, 70 guard. And there goes Gibson, the running back, 76 overall to the Chargers. The Jags take Connor Lester, who's only a 71. Giants take Corey Henry, another tight end off the board. Posey's awful. Bird is awful. Stevenson's awful. Good God. Alex Davis is pretty bad. Tomlinson's awful. Trailer's pretty bad. Solin's okay. Springs is pretty bad. Lee is pretty bad. Donaldson's okay. Another tight end off the board. Haynes is pretty bad. Dealman's pretty bad. That wideout might fall to us. Peterson's pretty bad. Rushing's pretty bad. Cohen's okay. And the Giants take Poindexter. So that wide receiver is still available in what has been a sea of mediocrity thus far. But Jaquan Spears is available. Very interesting. On the defensive side, Hewitt's there. Austin, these are a bunch of guys that I really don't think we have to take right now. The main one I'd be intrigued at taking is probably Billups. But we do have another second round pick coming up here. And then, of course, we're missing some later picks. I think we go for Jaquan Spears. I think we do. This might mean the end of Trent Taylor, but we can save a little bit of money. Let's go for Jaquan Spears. Ooh, okay. Well, The overall's not bad. We needed a good dev pattern for him being 21. Not so much. He's solid. Catching traffic isn't that bad. It might actually still be worth using him as the slot receiver this year, because if he breaks out, he'll be where Trent was fairly quickly. Big B, meh, and the Dolphins go with Hannah. If I were to trade away the pick, as long as I can pick up a third-round pick in 2022, as well as some extra, I think I'd be okay with that. That's what the Rams are offering. And that's probably the best deal. That is definitely the best deal. So let's take that offer from the Rams. We'll trade down, see who's left at that point. There's a full round ahead. Billups was actually, yeah, he was pretty good. That's not surprising. Anybody else that we had on the board that is still available? A couple of running backs. I'm not worried. We're set. Fullback-wise, I mean, Bowden's still pretty good. But he's actually the utility option. Leach was the better way to go. Leach was the better way to go, and I might still go for him. Wideout-wise, obviously not risking that again. Nobody left on the O-line. Defensive tackle, Cedric Austin. Again, pretty good at 23, but I don't trust he'll have a good dev pattern. That guy's a bit too weak. Yeah, none of those guys are going to work. Brian McGee. Again, not really feeling it. Henderson's going to be garbage. Cartwright isn't bad, but I don't even think I want to risk it. I think we're just going to trade down. So maybe I could have been a little bit more aggressive with some of them. So pretty much we're just going to look to trade down, potentially get one of these fullbacks, and then call it quits. So all in all, considering this draft ended up being pretty weak compared to what it looked like it was going to be, I think we did okay. We ended up using, I think, 4 of the first round picks, which is not what I planned on doing, but the good thing is we didn't have to make as many high draft picks as I would have expected. Just because, again, that quality dip was insanity. We'll take that 5th and a 7th from Miami and potentially make that fullback pickup in the 5th round. But yeah, you see some of the players that are going in this draft. It's not good. So as far as who was on the board, they're all still there. Let's go. I mean, I'm intrigued by Bowden, but we're gonna go for Leach, I think. 23-year-old Bowden's 22. You know, let's take Bowden. 68 normal. Even then, he was 60th in true talents. That shows you where this draft is. Not great. Holy Buffalo late picks. And you know what? For the hell of it, I'm intrigued. Let's take Leach. 66. I was hoping for a good dev pattern fullback. That apparently was not going to happen. So we'll get rid of this as well for the highest bidder. A 5th round pick is going to be the highest bidder. We'll take the deal from Tampa, as we are done in this draft. All in all, I don't hate where the team is. We ended up making the changes to the O-line that we didn't expect to make until next season. And, you know, I think we did okay. We had to dodge a lot of landmines in this weaker draft. We're still going to have to make some changes heading into the season, of course. But we'll be able to utilize the free agent list to try and make whatever changes we can. We'll take that 6 next year from Tennessee. And the good thing is, too, we have draft picks ready for next year. We could very well be a playoff team in this upcoming season, and we already have picks to work with heading into next year. So I'm very happy about that, as we only ended up making 4 picks. Godfrey, Sparks, Shields, and Roman. But those were the main 4 that we needed. So Brock Allen, hidden dev. So we'll know for sure in the future. But again, we ended up with a wideout who was in a similar spot. So what I'll do is I'll quickly scroll through. Let me know if there's anybody that you wanted to see in terms of their potential. Although remember, we're not going to be able to see it immediately. So kind of, I guess, keep it in the back of your mind for, hey, at the end of next season, maybe take a look. But for the most part, I think we're good. So, I mean, I want to see what we're looking like here. We get a player upgrade before the season even starts. Barnett and Reggie Choice, they came ready to play this year. So Derek Barnett ends up staying on the defensive line, and he gets an ability slot as a superstar. Under pressure, defenders with this ability can apply pressure to the quarterback from a greater distance. And Reggie Choice, who will get quite a bit of playing time this year. Superstar for him. Let's just make him better as a hybrid to get him up to a 77 overall, plus 2 zone coverage. Very good, Reggie. Very, very good. So the team, obviously we need to fill up quite a few spots. But the team, we still have Dawson, who is the man. He's going to go X Factor. Like, there's no way he won't. He has lofting Deadeye and anchored extender. There's no way he's not going Deadeye. He's the man. Hopefully Sony can stay healthy this year. Fullback-wise, funny enough, I'm probably going to stick with Devlin. Wideout-wise, we're still good. With the top 4, those will probably be the 5. I mean, again, if I wanted to, I could trade Taylor, and I think if we're maybe not in the playoff spot, we look at dealing Taylor. Maybe try to develop Spears. We're good there. The O-line. Now, I know Wynn, Shields, Roman, Landry, and Young. There's only one guy over an 80, but it's a young and promising O-line. We have Barnett, Lawson, Tuck, and Lawrence on the D-line. Ibukum with Miles Jack, Bentley there as well. And again, Sparks will get the chance to develop. I don't hate that linebacker core. Richard Sherman is here. Jackson, Wallace, and Godfrey. I think, again, Godfrey will at least be the number 2 corner this season. We might still leave Richard Sherman as the number 1. And if we're not in a playoff spot, we deal Richard Sherman. Pretty straightforward. In terms of safeties, it's still looking like it's going to be Justin Evans and Reggie Choice, which isn't great, but it isn't terrible. Evans will suffice, and Choice is going to be getting better. There might be somebody better in terms of the O-line. And heading into next year's draft, we have 4 first-round picks as it is. Our own, the Giants, Detroit, and Denver. It'll be similar to this year, where, yeah, there might be some wheeling and dealing. It depends on how free agency goes, what the team looks like, and so many other factors. We're going to end this one here. It's been over an hour. If you're still with me, I appreciate you. Hope you enjoyed the episode, and I will see you in the next one, where our next season begins, 2022-2023. How will the team do? How did I do in the draft? So many talking points.